Mr. Chairman, I want to move back to our salary conversation, not to beat a dead horse, but I believe the last salary update list we had from the CFPB was from late last summer. Would you provide the committee an updated salary breakdown from the CFPB?
Congressman, yes, we would do that.
Wonderful. We had a conversation earlier about comparing the CFPB pay scale to that of the Federal Reserve, and also looking at the CFPB pay scale as it relates to the GS pay scale. And the GS pay scale is one that the DOD uses, the FBI uses, the executive branch uses. Would you have any objection to the CFPB moving to the GS scale that most other government entities are on?
Congressman, if Congress deems that they wish to change our salary scale so that the Act, which currently speaks to comparability with the Federal Reserve, is altered or modified in some fashion, we would, of course, follow the laws that are set for us. Wonderful.
Well, I've dropped a bill to that effect, so maybe we'll see how much support we get out of the CFPB. I think that was yesterday we dropped it. I want to move to the issue of how much is spent on the renovation of the Office of Thrift Supervision building that you're in right now. I think you indicated it was $15 million in 2012, $95 million in 2013, for a total of $110 million so far in dollars budgeted for the renovation of that building. Is that about correct?
Actually, it's Congressman, it's $95 million. We changed that number. Originally, it was $15 million and $40 million for a total of $55 million. That number has now been changed to $95.
And is there any? Do you anticipate any more budgeting necessary in 2014, or is $95 million going to do the job?
Congressman, we're at the early stages of understanding what it would cost to renovate a building that's 30 years old and needs major system improvements, elevators, HVAC. We're working with the General Services Administration to understand that.
Are you aware that we have $17 trillion in national debt?
Yes, Congressman, I am.
And the OTS building was built in the 1970s, right?
I believe that's correct, sir.
You may be surprised to learn that the Rayburn building in which we sit today hasn't had a major renovation since it was built in 1965. On top of that, the building right across the street, the Longworth building, was built in 1933 and hasn't had a major renovation since 1933. But here for the CFPB, a building that is newer than the one we sit in today deserves a $95 million renovation to the tune of $90,000 for every single employee at the CFPB. How do you justify that when we owe $17 trillion in debt?
Congressman, we have floors at 1700 G Street where we cannot run telephone lines, run electrical lines, run computer lines, because when the building was built, it was not anticipated they would use those things. So we actually have parts of at least 2 floors that cannot be occupied in a sort of standard office configuration.
$90,000 per employee, $17 trillion in debt. I want to move to how much you're spending on the storage of data collection. How much do you budget for the storage of data collection?
Congressman, what we budget is embedded in what we purchase and service from Treasury currently for purposes of running our network infrastructure. I can ask that number be broken out and given to you. I don't have that number in front of me currently.
So are you actually setting money aside to build your own storage network, or are you using another agency's storage network? Because you're grabbing a lot of American financial data. Are you storing it internally, another agency, or are you paying someone off-site to store the data?
Congressman, we are doing a couple of things. We are currently utilizing another federal agency, Treasury, to provide us with network services. We are in the process of moving off of that network so that we can run our own network and not be dependent on another federal agency. We are also purchasing services and information from private entities as well. And part of that is storage on our network.
So if you would do this for me, if you would break down, and I'm going to be very clear, how much you're spending to store data, whether it's internally, another agency, or offsite, give me that number, and also how much the Bureau is spending to secure that data. And I yield back. My time has expired.
We'll now recognize Ms. Beatty for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member.